swampy Korean word for my grandmother, died. On Friday, we were going to have the funeral. And so in the days leading up, I got to see family who I hadn't seen in a long time. See, we only tend to see each other around funerals and weddings, and neither the tragedy of a funeral nor the eventual tragedy of my uncle's 5th marriage had happened all that recently. It was good to see, well, most of them. We ate together, we laughed together, we sat quietly on our phones next to each other. Some would share opinions that, while the rest of us certainly wouldn't agree with, we would nod our heads to just to sort of get by the evening. The most would share anecdotes about the recently passed, who's dearly beloved. Eventually, Friday rolls around, and we all arrive at the funeral home. We're told to hang our hat, leave our coat, eat some food, chat with cousins, don't make eye contact with uncle. But there's one other thing we're dissuaded from doing. We are told, and as we have been told, generations in the past and generations to come, not to cry, but instead to smile. Friday comes 4 days after Monday, which is important to mind several other cultures across Turtle Island, as we believe that the spirit goes on a 4-day journey after death. When you die, your spirit leaves your body and is met by a handful of other spirits. Helpful guides will allow you to see the forces that make up Mother Earth, and doing so, reflect on your own life. They'll let you see what you've accomplished, who you've affected, how you've grown, changed, laughed, cried, given up, and found meaning. They'll let you reflect upon your first marriage, divorce, kiss, remarriage, falls, fights, floats, farts, everything. At the end of the first day, your spirit arrives at the sky world. Here, it talks to the sky beings and sees the 4 directions. Now, these 4 directions have a plethora of meanings to us, but for now, we'll focus on what they can tell us about time, life, and death. Towards the east, with the rising sun, new life enters into the world. Then to the south is the warmest of spaces, the warmest of times, where we see our childhood, the best of days. Then to the west, with the setting sun, we too lay forever to rest. Finally to the north, we reflect, we mourn, we look eastward, where we see that new life is quite literally on the horizon. Now, our world is comprised of 4 dimensions, the last of which being time, the one I find most interesting. And now, I understand that might upset some of you ride-or-die hike heads. But just remember that you're 90 degrees off of being length or width. Now that I've thoroughly clobbered the haters, I can tell you all what I find so interesting about time. See, time, unlike those other 3 dimensions, is something that while we seemingly have no control over, and yet move through constantly. We tend to believe that we are simply carried by its twists, turns, and tantrums towards that tumultuous moment to the end. But I would argue that we do have some control over it. If not control over how we move through it, then perhaps our perception of it. And while we may continue to believe that the time moves ever forwards, our physical world doesn't reflect this. For our physical world is cycles. Day turns to night. Summer turns to fall, turns to winter, turns to spring. Birds migrate north and back south, and north again. And death turns to life, turns to death, turns to life. Traditionally, we Cree, and many other cultures across both Turtle Island and the world, would bury their bodies both without a coffin and nude. What this kindness does is means that our bodies really never stop being alive. Housed within us are trillions of tiny creatures, microbes, bacteria, and the like, all who live on within the safekeeping of our bodies, even after death. Then, once we are buried, worms, mushrooms, and any other decomposers that can get their claws, paws, or beaks on us consume us, our flesh becoming theirs. They then in turn are eaten, and they in turn, and they in turn, and suddenly we've gone from just one being to tens, hundreds, thousands, maybe even millions of creatures. Now, nice as that is, I can turn to a tree and say, "Hi, Mom." That still has had time to take her away from me, hasn't it? Well, maybe, but imagine this, if you will. Say you could maneuver through time. You were a fourth dimensional being. What would someone who's dead look like to you? To us, they appear that they were alive then and they are now dead. But to you, you see both these things. Perhaps it's not that they were alive then and dead now, but instead, this is just another time of the time here on Earth. That this is simply a rough patch that they're going through. Now, while we may not be able to traverse through time, we still can use that oh so evocative power of memory. Nobody is truly dead, not until you're all but forgotten, their history is erased. So let us recognize that those who have died are still around us, and that they are not gone, they are not forgotten. At the end of the second day, the Spirit arrives at the star world. Here, it speaks to the constellations, learns their stories, and how they continue to help us navigate through our world, even today. The Spirit learns that they continue to help us, even amongst the stars. Common lines of belief which I would have you think that the end goal of mourning is to move on. Move on. I never liked that rhetoric. I found it quite dishonest and detached. Everything and anything that's happened to us affects us in some capacity. I, for example, would not be giving the same speech I am today. 2 years ago, this very same TED group had not rejected my proposal to make this very talk. However, as I hope shows, I've gotten better at synthesizing and producing my ideas for an audience. I only am here today because I haven't moved on, because I learned from what I lost. So perhaps moving on isn't what we should be pursuing in mourning, because, at least from what I can tell, it's impossible. Instead, what we should do is we should acknowledge what we have lost and see how it affects us. And not only that, how it continues to affect us. The continuing bonds theory is a psychological belief that stipulates that our relationship with the dead continues even post-mortem. Not only are they still in the world around us, not only are they alive within our minds, but our understanding of their tics, lives, and experiences helps us continue our relationship with them. Allow me to give you an example. Say you have just turned 50, and for some time now, your own father has been dead. A half-centennial is a pretty big deal, so it's likely that you remember how your father was during that time. While he may not be physically with you there, you still have this new touchstone with him, this new point of empathy. In some 30-odd years, I too will turn 50, and I know that then, alive or dead, my father will be with me, and my bond will continue with him. Because at the end of the third day, the Spirit makes its way to where the water rests. Here is a place of pure living, and so the Spirit reflects upon their life in the soft reflections of the water. The good, the bad, the happy, the sad, confident, and the meek. Soon after, spirits who have finished this journey before, their friends, their family come and help them move across the water. So they all continue, so they all canoe onwards. Near-death experiences occur when, unsurprisingly, you nearly die. Whether that be a heart attack, getting hit by a car, or simply falling off a tall ladder. Near-death experiences can tell us a lot, but for now I will choose to focus on 2 points. Firstly, people who have these experiences tend to report that their experience is both peaceful, spiritual, and all around enjoyable. They tend to find they no longer fear death, which paradoxically causes them to jump into life all the more. Because why not jump into life head first? What's the worst that could happen? You die. As far as that's concerned, it's not so bad. Secondly, people with these experiences tend to sense that they have a oneness with other people, things, and the universe as a whole. They report that they feel no longer like they should be self-serving or mean, since that would just be being cruel to themselves. They believe that we are all one, all things that are, have, and will be. So those who have died before, or those who have almost died, have learned to live once again. And those who have died, perhaps, are still one with us. It's at the end of the 4th day, we are told not to cry, but to smile, for it is tonight that the Spirit will make their final choice. Will they die? At this point, the fellow spirits have dispersed, allowing the deceased to make this final trip alone. The soft canoe strokes reveal an island in the distance, but just as they see it, a soft fog rolls in, obscuring it from view. They slow down, not wanting to lose sight, and eventually land into a quiet stillness. They look up towards the sky, beyond it, to the stars, and feel the water beneath them. Then they look forward and see Creator with them there. Creator then asks them a simple question. What have you done with the gift of life? At this moment, the Spirit looks back towards us, its friends, its colleagues, its family, and sees us smiling for the life that it has lived. If it then turns to Creator and tells it honestly, proudly, humbly, and tells it about all the things that make it human, and Creator will let them to the island of the dead. Here, the fellow spirits will join them once again, and they will sing and dance for the life that they have lived, hollowing and partying for those who still do, until the sun rises in the east once more, and they disperse to say hello to us again on our side. So let us smile at the dead, because they are still alive in the world around us, within our hearts, within our minds. Let us not mourn or cry for what we have not lost, but instead sing and dance to what we still have. A hope